and around the Premier League side, and I played 5 times and scored a couple. You'd be mad to go. But that's just wasn't how I felt about it at the time. I probably could have done with a little bit more. I remember Lee Carsley saying to me, "Don't go." He said, like, you're riding around it. Why would you want to go? He said, "Oh, well, if you are going to go, wait for something that's really exciting." Which was probably good advice. But I was a bit headstrong and wanted to go and prove myself. And I just felt like it was the right time for me.
Today, my guest on the podcast played in the Premier League for Everton, also featured for Millwall, Plymouth Argyle, and is now heading up the player lead development at Wrexham. It is Nick Chadwick. Nick, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Delighted to have you on. What's your earliest sort of football memory?
Well, loads really, mainly from playing just as a kid. I was from Stoke-on-Trent originally, playing in the lads and dads and the Sunday leagues, and I think I was 6 or 7 playing in the under-9s and 10s league at the time. So that was me as a player, really, just loving football. My dad was a big Man United fan, so he had a season ticket there, so I started off going to Old Trafford with him as a kid, up 6, 7, 8. And then got signed for Stoke City, played for Stoke, and that's where my footballing journey started, really, as a player and also as a fan. Not much to do with Everton, but that was later to come. But always loved footy. My dad played. Was a sort of lower league player and played in the conference and played at Wembley a couple of times. So football obsessed. Always at the game. Always playing out in the streets. So it was a bit of a throwback, really, to how it used to be.
Yeah, street football. Where's it gone? Who was your first footy hero then? Obviously, United fan, where you saw with your dad. So
I used to watch like Mark Hughes, all them number 9s I used to like. Big Dunk, I used to love Big Dunk. But all Alan Shearer, sort of a little bit later on. But them number 9s, them strikers, that's what I like to do. I like to score even as a kid. So. Brought up on centre forwards, number 9s, Gary Lineker in the World Cup 1990. That was a sort of a big moment for me in terms of watching England at World Cups, and always them number 9s, always the goal scorers. They were the ones I like to watch.
What was it like going to Stoke then? How old were you when Stoke signed you then?
I was only 8 or 9. So I was young, and I'd done. I was doing all right in the lads and dads and things like that, and Stoke at the time had a real good youth system even at that young. So there was like myself and Dean Ashton was there at the time, and one or two others who went on to have a career, and it was great. We were played on a Saturday under Stoke City. We played on Sunday under another name. It was all weekend, and it was good. But we were babies, It's just about loving the game and. Playing with your mates and scoring, but I was doing all right. Even then, I was starting to get a sense of I like this, could do this. You know what I mean?
This is nice.
My dad loved it. It was time for me and him to spend together, and it was just like a lot of kids, football obsessed.
Was it 11 aside for you at that age? Or had it changed to? Was it 9?
I can't even remember.
No,
I mean, I must have started sort of 7 aside stuff, but it wasn't. I mean, it's not like the academy systems now. It wasn't managed. It wasn't organised. Really, it was just lads and dads
playing the league,
football and playing the league, and if you win, great. As I say, I think my dad put me in an under 9s side when I was about 6, 7, I think, and it was the far side of Stoke where you could get away with it because no one really knew who you were, and I think you just changed the age on the certificate just to get me a game. So. But good memories, and your school team and your county team and all that, your district team. It was that's where it all started, really. Just the love of the game.
Just doing that. I mean, playing that 2 years up at that age. I mean, that must have give you a bit of contact and a bit of how to test yourself against older kids.
Maybe maybe that was my dad's thinking. I don't know really. I think I was always like physically ahead as a kid. I was always sort of one of the taller ones, if you like, or the faster ones. So it was just get a game, and maybe he thought it would toughen me up. I was from like a fairly nice part of Stoke, if there is such a thing. No, but I was from one of sort of the outer parts really, where I think my dad probably wanted to toughen me up a little bit and get me in and around the inner city kids. It probably worked, to be fair. I think a couple of the clubs and a couple of the clubs associated to Crewe, I think they were in some of the Liverpool leagues at the time for the same reason. But yeah, it probably worked, and it was a game of footy at the end of the day. Game of footy on a Saturday, game of footy on a Sunday.
So how did it go at Stoke then, and then how did and when did sort of Everton?
Yeah, it went really well. Yeah. It was a good place to be, and as I say, I was loving it. And then it just sort of fell apart a little bit, as sometimes it does at these clubs, and a couple of people left. I think Dean Ashton obviously went to Crewe, and there was 3 of us. One of the coaches at the time come to Everton. I think I was 11 or 12. And then Ray Hall and Barry Poynton came to the house, and we got the opportunity to join Everton, which is a big thing probably at the time for me, for my mum and for my dad, being an hour down the road, sort of twice a week up the M6 to training and a game on a weekend. But whatever they said to me dad must have been good, because we agreed to join. And then at, I think 11, 12, I was coming up to Everton. There was 3 of us from the Stoke area who were coming up. We were the first sort of out-of-towners who started to join the academy, and wasn't that well received amongst the Scousers at the time. No, because it was Everton. It was like, who are these out-of-towners coming? We're Everton. We're having these sort of woolly backs coming on and playing, and it was like a young Bradley Orr, a young Joey Barton. Fylde Jelka was one who joined, and we came up and we started playing, and it's funny because as soon as you play and you do all right, all of a sudden the Scousers accepted you.
I was going to say that, was it a case of like, you've really got to prove yourself here? Because it can be, I imagine, coming into that kind of environment, into a Scouse mentality where they challenge everything. I think one of the lads found it more difficult than a couple of others. I loved it from the off, and obviously I remember, I think it was Bradley Orr said to me, "Do you wear 10, lad?" And I was thinking, like, oh, shit, I was 11, 12. I mean, I was like, oh, yeah. He went, "Not here, you don't, mate." And then, but then 2 weeks later, I scored a couple. It was like, "Do you want number 10, lad?" That was it.
So it was like, yeah, you were accepted. If you did all right, you were accepted. And it was a great group. Real strong characters. 11, 12 years of age, you know what I mean? And playing at Everton, coming up twice a week, as I said. Some late nights, some long journeys. Particularly, I look back now, and I'm a parent now, but I think my dad would have finished work, or my mum, and at 5 o'clock we were jumping in the car, travelling up the M6. So it was a big commitment at the time from them, which I probably didn't appreciate at the time. But then that become your life then, up the motorway to training, up over weekends playing the games, and I just loved it.
It is a mad one, isn't it, when you're a kid, because you don't view any. It's for you, it was just being, I'm off to Everton and training. Yeah. Without, like, obviously you don't, because you're a kid. But when you become a parent, you do think, God, the commitments. Like I do with my dad. My dad's like watched every game I played, took me everywhere, all over the place. Done it with me son. He does it with my son as well now, if I can't take him. But it is, when you look back for you having that, they've got to get on that M6 twice a week, and then at the weekend, big commitments. Yeah, it was. I mean, he loved it because I think he used to drop us off and then go for a pint and watch the game. I think they used to go around the corner and watch the game. All the dads used to get together, and I think probably enjoyed being out the house. But I always think, like, I think back now, like you say, and it was nice that as I progressed and as things went better and better, I appreciated at the time when you end up playing. It was nice to give a little bit back, almost all that reward for that travel and stuff like that. But again, we loved it. The coaching was great. The coaches were great. Belfield, the indoor at Belfield was great, and that was just the start of my journey, really, at Everton. Yeah. Who were your first coaches then? And what was the sort of? Obviously, you being at Stoke, was there a noticeable step up in level, or for you as a kid, did you not really? Is it just a different environment? Really?
Yeah, it was just different. It was just different. Yeah. I suppose there was more players. I mean, as I say, the coaching and the coaches at Stoke were great. Yeah. Darryl Wainwright was a coach who'd moved from Stoke to Everton at the time. It was nice to have a familiar face. Yeah. He was probably the coach I first had. But there was loads of coaches at the time. Yeah. Tosh Farrell, one or two others who were really specialised in that that young end of coaching.
Yeah.
But again, you weren't thinking that as a player. You were just coming in and enjoying it, and the ball against the wall and five-a-sides. And I suppose it was a bit more competitive because there was a little bit more grit about the Scouse lads, as opposed to what I was used to. But that suited me down to the ground. I was quite competitive anyway. So it was good, and it was a talented group of lads. I think every age at Everton then there was players who were going to go on and do something or not. But again, you weren't thinking that, you were just playing footy.
What about coming up to doing it sort of full time and to be taking? Wouldn't have been an apprenticeship for you? I mean, was it a scholar? Was it called an apprenticeship?
I think one of the first scholars, yeah.
Right, yeah. So was that a nervous time for you, or did you not really? Again, was it going so well that you didn't really think about that?
No, I never thought about it. It was going really well. I'd always played, I'd always scored. I think I got to 14 and there was quite a big cut for some reason. Everton in our age group had made a cut, and I think like Joey left and went to Man City, Bradley Orr left, Jags left, and me and Sean O'Hanlon were the two that stayed. Right. For why Everton made that decision at the time, I'm not too sure, but we were fortunate.
You're obviously doing well
enough to stay. Yeah. Well, I think the group was doing well, but I think for some reason they decided to merge two groups or whatever
it was.
So we joined the year above, and I think from that moment, whether it was agreed I was going to get the scholar anyway or not at that time, I'm not too sure. But I never had too many worries about it. It was always the other way, actually. It was always my mum. My mum and dad were always like, got to keep concentrating at school, make sure your schoolwork's all right, because just because things are going all right, it might not happen. But at the back of my mind, I was always thinking, I'm going to be okay here, I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? But good advice from your parents, make sure you work hard at everything, Going in full time then, what was that like? Every day, and that's your job?
Yeah, it was brilliant. That was all I wanted to do. Obviously, I remember leaving school. All my mates were going. I think we were going down to Torquay or down on the south coast for a bit of a jolly up, like when they left school. And I think it was only 2 weeks, and I was starting at Everton. So I come into digs into host family, which was a bit new. Like I was thinking, got to live away from home. But again, it was what it was. I ended up living with a couple of lads, Carl Howarth and Keith Southern, which ended up being great. And that was it then. It was just starting. You were starting as a full time. I remember thinking, and I think Colin Harvey and Taff Andy Holden purposely, it was your job then all of a sudden it become a little bit more serious. So you rock up, and I do it now when I'm coaching. You rock up and you think you've cracked it. You're going to be a footy player. It's all singing, all dancing. Then all of a sudden, Colin's on you, and Les Elm and Taff. They were right at you. I know it was. Was
that a culture shock?
Yeah. They were teaching you. It was your job. It was your trade. It was your good habits. It was how to be a footballer. And looking back now, I didn't have a clue. I played the game, but how to actually live your life and meet the demands day in, day out, I didn't have a clue about any of that.
What were some of those demands then? If you're going from, because obviously you're playing the game, of course, and you're talented, clearly, scoring loads of goals, which is great. What is that big difference then? What is the teach? Because we know Colin was a hard taskmaster, and you've Andy Holden, people like that.
Just how to carry yourself, just to be on time, the professionalism of it. Get your socks up, get your shirts in. You look people in the eye when you're talking to them. I mean, they term it now in the academies as developing the person as well as the player.
Okay.
Colin wasn't thinking I'm developing the person, but that's what he was doing. And they were just sort of moulding you into a man as opposed to a young boy. And again, we weren't aware of that. We were just thinking, well, I had another bollock in there. But it was putting the equipment away. It was cleaning the balls. It was making sure your boots were clean. It was, as you say, being on time. It was all these little behaviour traits and all these little disciplines that we hadn't give two thoughts about really, but are important. And they were big on that. They were really big on teaching you the right way. And I feel lucky I came through at Everton where they taught me the right way. And there's no coincidence. A lot of these lads who come through that scholarship under Colin and under Taff went on to be coaches in the game, went on to be managing the game, went on to have a career because we were all taught the right way. So I feel fortunate that that was the case. I didn't feel that at the time. But it was great, you know, we used to love it. We had a laugh back at the digs. I remember the first night I was ever in my digs, I got in the room with Carl Howarth and him and Keith said to me, have you said good night like to the family? And I was thinking, like, what do you mean? And they went, you got to go and say good night like and thanks and all that. So they're all watching the telly in the front room and I bounced in, knocked on the door, bounced in, just wanted to say good night. And they all were like, yeah, all right, all right, Nick, yeah, that's great. I bounced in the bedroom, they're pissing themselves, laughing like. So just daft stuff. We used to go to the pictures and all that of a night. It was great. I still speak to them both now and got a great relationship with Keith. And I know how he's back at the club as physio at the minute. So you were just ending up creating bonds and friendships that last a long, long time. But that, along with the football, along with the work rate that was required and what Colin demanded, just made it a great experience.
Was that difficult leaving home? Because obviously, again, I think that sometimes is another thing that is skipped over. It's like you've got to leave home. Well, yeah, they're going to be footballs. You just got to get on with it. But it is weird staying.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it wasn't as managed then as what it is now either. Right, yeah. It was, and to be fair, for me, it wasn't a problem.
Yeah, okay.
I loved the football. There was another lad, David Knowles, who was a couple of years older than me. He used to drive back to Stafford, so I used to jump in with him over the weekend and go back home, and then he'd bring me back up on a Monday. So I got the chance to go home, and my dad would take me home after a game on a Saturday sometimes, and I was only an hour away, so it wasn't too bad. Yeah. But I just loved it. I was just lived for the footy, really. You'd get up into training, you'd do an afternoon, you'd work hard, so by the time you got back, you were knackered anyway. We'd get on the computer or whatever, or like say, go to the pitches, and that'd be it. Back to bed, ready for the next day. It wasn't. We didn't really need anything else. You know what I mean? Yeah. We had the odd night out as soon as we got a bit older as a group of scholars, but it wasn't. It was all about the footy, really. It was all about working hard, and everyone was doing well, and it was competitive. It was a tough environment, and you couldn't afford to not be ready for training the next day because you were working. You got worked hard. Yeah. So.
But were you still cleaning boots and stuff then? Or
no, Colin just stopped that year. Right, okay. I think John Collins was in the first team at the time. I don't think he was too happy about it. I think he believed that that's what we should do. But I think Colin's opinion was these lads are here to get better at football, and these lads are here to work on the game and not clean somebody's boots. But there was still that discipline to it. I don't think it was like, I mean, Col wasn't someone to go light on us.
No.
So we did the changing rooms, and we did jobs, but it was just moving away from that sort of time of them sort of things. But that discipline was still there. So I think the balance has probably gone a bit too far the other way now. But then that discipline and values was still very much part of it, but we were starting to come away from doing solely just the youth team were there to paint the stands and clean the boots. It was more about the football, which I agreed with, to be fair. It was good.
Yeah. Obviously it went well because you scored loads of goals.
Yeah.
Which I think I've seen some mad, like 48 goals in 75 games and youth level or something, so doing really, really well. And were you obviously you're aware you're doing well, but were you aware that you were getting closer to the first team?
That was me. That was my aim. And like you say, can you remember? It feels like a lifetime ago. Yeah. But that was my aim. It was you're in the 60s. I wanted to be in the 18s. I was in the or the B team. Yeah, I was in the B team. Wanted to be in the A team. Yeah, then it changed to like 17s, 18s. I was in the 18s. I wanted to be in the Resis. Yeah, I was in the Resis. I wanted to be in the first team. It was like I just had that inner drive and ambition to want to keep pushing on. And I felt my sort of motivation was, the psychology was, every time I scored, I made it difficult. I made it difficult for the coach in the next level above, the reserve team coach, to leave me out the squad because I'd scored a couple. So it was like, it was all the time for me. It was goals, and just keep getting your name mentioned, and just never be able to leave, to be out of sort of the thoughts of the manager or the reserve team manager or the youth team manager. So I was always trying to nick goals all the time. It's what I wanted to do, and I was, as you say, I was doing it regularly. I always felt like since I joined as under 11, under 12, I'd frequently scored. I think I scored 5 in my first ever game for Everton in the under 11s, and then it just went on where I just continuously scored at every age group, and like I was saying before, I was always quite well developed. I was always a bit bigger than everybody else, a little bit stronger than everyone else. So I was a little bit forward in my development, but again, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking I'll just get someone out the way and score, and it'll get me in the next team above. And I always managed to do that, and we always had good players, and we were always competitive in all the games. So I was lucky that I was playing with good players as well. But as you say, I scored. I think I came on for the youth cup side that won the youth cup. I think I came on in the quarter-final as like an under-15, and I think I came on at Hillsborough. Bit of a throw of the dice from Colin. I think they needed a goal to equalise, and I scored. I think like the quarter-final to take it into a replay. And like at that point, I was thinking, I knew I was doing all right because I was a schoolboy. And I'd scored for the youth team. And all of a sudden, it was like for Colin Harvey and it was for Andy Holden, who were like the youth team coaches. And at that point, I thought, I'm doing all right, I've just got to keep going. And then carried on in my scholarship years and into the Resis. I always scored in the Resis when we won the Central League. I scored, I think it was a first year scholar, but I'd scored quite a lot of goals. Me and Fylde had scored quite a lot of goals at that time as well, and it was just something that I'd always done. It was just like when I played for Everton, I scored. And then even when I got the first team appearances I managed to nick a goal. So I just had that knack really that was a good trait to have, obviously.
God, absolutely. Everyone wants a goal scorer, don't they? That's what the name of the game. Your debut, first team debut. You remember it?
I thought that when we first appeared the League Cup,
Palace,
late on.
Well, what was that like being included in the squad and then?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I remember at that time I'd been to see Walter Smith, and I had like, the echo was like I'd scored and I'd scored again, and there was people all of a sudden, there was a little clamour to get me involved, and why wasn't I getting involved? And I went to see Walter Smith, and I was like 17, so it was like first year.
You were 17?
I was 17.
Yeah. But they've gone to see Walter.
I know, and I remember saying to my dad, what do I do? And I remember saying to Taff probably at the time, I wouldn't have said it to Colin but they said, well, go and see him. I think Everton at the time was struggling for strikers. I think Franny was injured or he'd gone by then. I think Kev Campbell might have been injured, Dunk might have been injured, and I think Steve Watson was playing up front on his own. And he was a good player, Watto, but he was playing up front on his own for Everton. And I was banging in loads of goals for the youth team in the Resis. And so I went to see Walter Smith, knocked on his door and I was half sitting it. And he was great with me. He just said, look, you're making it really difficult because you keep scoring. He went, keep doing what you're doing, and at some point I'm going to have to include you. You've got every right to come and have a chat to me. Which was nice because he could have just fucked me right.
Swung you out the door.
He could have just got rid of me. But he gave me the time of day, and I thought, right, he told me to keep going, and that's what I kept doing. And sure enough, that League Cup game came about, and I was in the squad. And I was obviously delighted, but I think Kevin McLeod had been involved a few times, Peter Clark had been involved, Jamie Milligan had been involved, so some lads were starting to get a game, certainly in that competition, and I was in. And I always remember that game. It went to penalties. Didn't it?
Yeah.
And I was on the pitch, and I remember Archie Knox saying, right, who wants a penalty? And I was thinking, fuck it, not me.
Really?
Yeah, it was the first time where my arse, I was a bit twitchy. And I was thinking, but no one wanted one. So it went first five, I think a couple of hands went up. So first five takers, first sudden death. Chaddy, you can meet your first sudden death. And I was like, right. And half I was thinking, great. And half I was thinking, it was one of them like sliding door moments.
Yeah.
And I think Dougie Friedman stepped up for Palace, and if he scored, they went through, and if he missed, I was first sudden death. And so he stood in the halfway line, and he get a bit twitchy, and he scored, and they went through. And half of it was like disappointment, we were out, and half of it was relief. Because I was still a baby. I was just 17. But anyway, so they went through, and we went back into the dressing room. And another reason I remember it is I think Archie Knox and a couple of the lads had absolute murder in the dressing room after it kicked off. Yeah, and I hadn't seen that before, really. Certainly with the first team boys. Because I wasn't normally in that environment. I was still with the reserves and the youth team. and it kicked off, and I thought, wow, this is proper now. This is it. Like, this is how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was. I remember that being my first time, and then I think Walter Smith included me a little bit more then, and that gave me the confidence then to go on and as I say, my ambition was to play for Everton the whole time, even from when I first joined at sort of 11, 12. It was like, got to play for Everton. Yeah. I was like the kid where the teacher says to the kid, "What's your ambition?" It was like, "Oh, to be a footy player." And the teachers, as they do, "Oh yeah, well, what else?" And I was thinking, I just had this feeling it was going to happen, and that was all I would have worked towards the whole time. Everything I did was like to play for Everton, and that League Cup game sort of just gave me that little sort of bit more motivation, if you like, or assurance that you could do it.
Yeah. Had the little taste.
And then I played a few more games. Obviously Walter left, and then I think when David Moyes come in, it was like, just because he was a young coach and a young manager, and I think his approach was he wanted to give one or two of the young lads an opportunity, and that was when it really I really felt like I had a real chance then of making a mark. So
yeah, because you'd made your Premier League debut, Sunderland. Claudio Reyna scored. We got beat 1-0.
Yeah.
Next appearance, Sunderland at home.
Yeah.
When we won 1-0, he replaced Jesper Blomqvist, who scored. His only goal for Everton, wasn't it? Header, yeah. He replaced them then.
And that's because that was wide. So I went on wide. So I played right from forever. I played as a centre forward, and you go on in the Premier League and you're playing wide, and it was like, oh, I know,
I've got a bit of a job. Yeah. Oh.
So I'd never done that before.
Walter being obviously sacked, so that's your first sort of experience of being in that environment, and then a manager, first team manager going, and then David Moyes coming in. Was that? Did you look at that and think, well, I've got a chance to impress this new fella and he might put me in more, or was it? Or were you already on that journey anyway? So it was.
It wasn't as. I didn't know the game. Do you know what I mean? I was just a young lad buzzing because I was playing for Everton. It was just all great for me. And Walter Smith, I think that he was like a real gentleman. I looked up to him. He didn't say a lot, but when he did, you listened. But there was it was still, I never really felt like I was in and around that first team squad there. I was pushing. Archie Knox was good to me. Archie Knox was tough, but I'd had Colin, so I was all right with that. And I half had a feeling he liked me, and he was good to me. He gave me some good words of advice, and so I knew I was in and around it, but I never felt I was part of it really. And then when David Moyes come, I never remember thinking that's great, he's gone and the new one's coming in and I might get a chance. I wasn't. So I was too naive to all that really at the time. I was just playing for Everton and loving it. And when David Moyes come in, by that time I'd moved into the first team dressing room. I'd just moved in, which was a big thing for one of the young lads, because at Belfield you had the youth team dressing room, and then you had the first team dressing room, and me, Nozzy and Ibbo and Peter Clark, we'd gone into the first team dressing room. So that was another step forward. You know what I mean? You were starting to think of getting close now. And I remember his first address to the players, and he was quite stern, and he was like, "Mess me around once, it's okay, but mess me around twice, I'll cut your balls off." And I was thinking, fair play, because he had like Gazza was in the dressing room, and Ginola and Big Dunk and big characters and senior figures at the club playing wise, who I looked up to, and I was like, they were like heroes of mine. And he came straight in and just nailed the dressing room, and I thought, he's not messing about. Even though he was fairly young, and then there was a bit of resistance among some of the senior players, and as there always is in them times of a new manager, probably one or two thought they were on the way out, but I didn't think too much about it. I probably did think at the time, there's a chance to impress, and young manager who wants to play off the front foot and wants people to run round and wants people to be aggressive and competitive. Well, that was me all over. I had that with Colin and Taff, so we just cracked on really, and sure enough, he gave quite a few of us an opportunity, which I have to be forever grateful for him for. Do you know what I mean? That he took that approach and I managed to get an opportunity.
He scored a very key goal against Bolton. On it was Easter Monday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were obviously, Moyes had come when we beat Fulham and Derby, didn't we? But then we got a chasing at Newcastle on Good Friday, but they were a good side.
Yeah.
So that Monday, And it was 2-1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you're coming onto the pitch.
Yeah. You still had that. You're still shitting yourself.
Yeah.
Or I was. I know there's been younger lads since, like Wayne's and that probably just thrusted straight on, but that wasn't the case for me. It was a big thing for me. It was what I worked for. But he was good, the manager at the time. David Moyes was really good. He took a real interest in the reserve team, real interest in how we were doing. Loads of encouragement. I was training well, I was scoring. Again, I was putting him under as much pressure as possible to be included. And like you say, and I was, and I've been on a couple of times, so I was in and around it. And I had more of that feeling of belonging around that point. I felt like a little more comfortable if you had been in and around it for a bit longer. Right. And on I went, and I knew it was a pivotal game, and I think we were defending a corner, and everyone was back bar me. I think I was back on the edge of the box, and as you say, it was a big game. We needed to win, and I think the ball got cleared. I think Steve Watson just cleared it, and I just remember I was getting up the pitch as quick as I could. You know what I mean? And so was Thomas Radzinski, and the goalkeeper, for some unknown reason, just come flying out towards the side of the pitch, and Thomas just nipped it round him. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking, if he squares this, I'm in. Like, I can score. And he did. And I managed to I took it first time, which I look back now and think, what was I thinking? Taking that first time, it was coming across my body with a man on the line, because the goalkeeper had come flying out. Yeah. But watching it back, it looks an assured finish. But at the time, it was like took an age for the ball to come across. But I took it first time and scored, and then
the Gladys Street end.
Gladys Street end, and I suppose that moment for me, that was it. That was me going on to score hundreds and hundreds of goals for Everton. But no, it was a great feeling, and we touched on before, like my dad in the stand and parents in the stand, and people who would give up a lot of time as well, the coaches and the academy staff. It was nice for them to have that moment, and it was good. Obviously, it was great for myself. I absolutely loved it, and it's something that people can't take away from you, can they? The fact that you scored at Gladys Street, and your first goal for Everton is a great memory.
A key goal as well, absolutely key goal. Your first start was Southampton away.
Yep,
I was there.
Yeah.
We won 1-0, Steve Watson, but I'd only seen it. You got stretched off. I was thinking, you were back the next week, which was good. But then you went in with, was it Paul Jones, the Southampton keeper, was it? You went in and
again, maybe because I hadn't been injured. Yeah, maybe, I think back to that moment at times, because I think Wayne was in the
Wayne was sub. Yeah, it was the first time he was ever sub. Yeah.
And I was at the time, I was like confident. I was thinking, like you said, I just scored a couple. I'd done all right, and I was thinking, this is going to be me now. This is my time to really step in. Yeah. First start, and I think the goalkeeper spilt it. Paul Jones just spilt it, and I went to score the rebound, and he sort of dived, as goalkeepers do, on top of the ball onto my leg. Yeah. I just rolled my ankle underneath him.
Nice. Yeah.
And maybe because I was young, maybe because I thought I hadn't experienced injuries really before, or maybe it was genuine, I don't know, but they were a bit concerned about me at the time. And I had to come off, and you think back now, don't you? I should have stayed on. But then, could I have? I don't know. Yeah. So I was off, and I remember, I think Andy Oldham pulled me and went, listen, you've got a good opportunity here. You can't be injured, you know what I mean? If you can get out there. So I did. I think we got back, and then I think on the Monday, I was in the physio room, and I was like, I'm fine to train, I'm okay. Yeah. And they were like, you got to stretch it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, no, I want to train. And I took a bit of stick, obviously. I took a bit of stick for the lads, because like you say, stretch it off and then training the same week's not really great. Wouldn't happen nowadays, I don't think. But I was desperate to be involved and wanted to stay around it. I wasn't going to lose the opportunity. I worked too hard, and put too much in to lose an opportunity. So I trained that week, and I think I played.
You were back in it the next weekend. And scored. We played Blackburn at home, got beat 2-1, but you scored the goal.
Was that Sunday? Was that the
could have been.
Yeah. So as I say, I didn't want to lose the opportunity. I wanted to be back out there, and I must have done all right because, as I say, played the next week and scored. And at the time, that was just a continuation of how it was for me. At every age group, I played and scored, played and scored, and the AU team had played and scored, the Resis had played and scored. So naively, I thought I'm going to go on the first team and score, and that's how it started. Yeah, that's how it started. And got the first goal, I say, against Bolton, scored. Just I think the corner got knocked down and just managed to flick it in that game. And as I say, that was just. For me, that was just a natural progression at the time. It wasn't a surprise to me, and it was such a good feeling around all the lads at the time, and the results had picked up a little bit, and it looked like we were going to be all right. So, and I was part of that. So, everything was going great.
And you scored against Leicester as well.
Yeah,
in a 3-2.
Yeah. From a Tommy Grafson cross.
Yeah. So it was going up. I mean,
it was going well.
Just got in and got 3 goals before the season finished.
Yeah. And I think in my mindset as well, I thought, if I'm playing with better players, like that goal, for example, Tommy Grafson, he picks me out in the middle of the box, in the middle of the goal. Tommy Grafson just puts it straight on my head, like you can't miss. Yeah. And I thought, the better players I'm playing with, the better I'm going to be, because I'm just getting picked out left, right, and centre, and I've just got to basically
get there,
put it in, which I'd always done. So it was going well, and I felt more established. I don't think my overall game was probably where it needed to be, but again, I didn't really have too much. There wasn't the individual coaching there. Alan Irvine was really good. Alan was a great coach, and he'd take me aside and try and work on bits of my game, but there probably wasn't the amount of focus on stuff like that than there is now. And also my interest was, again, a motivation was, I'll score. Yeah. And I might not have a good game, but I'll score. And whether that was to the detriment to my overall game, whether I should have focused more on my overall game, but it had worked so far. Do you know what I mean? So and
that's it, isn't it? It's if you're doing something that's worked all the way through your career. Why would you look for something else? You know what I mean? Yeah, and I suppose it's the hardest part of the game as well, and then it was something that I was doing quite well. So it was a great time with some great people, and the lads were great. You just mentioned Wayne Rooney in that squad. I mean, there was obviously a huge buzz about Wayne. Yeah, you were the young kid on the block scoring goals, and then you've got this other young kid behind you who's a forward as well. So going into the next season, I mean, you come back for pre-season, you're thinking, I'm in this. What sort of happened, or what was that like over the summer? Because you have got this kid who there was a big buzz about.
Yeah, looking back now, the Everton Football Club were never going to play like a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old up front for Everton. I wasn't thinking that. I was just, and I don't think any of the young lads thought that at the time. It was all the lads got on great, and probably Fylde Evans was before me, and Danny Cadd, and we got on well with them, and there was everyone was happy for everybody else if they got an opportunity. And I remember when Wayne came to Southampton and Wayne was in and around it and there was a buzz around Wayne, I didn't feel under threat by that. I wasn't thinking, oh that's going to be me gone. I just thought, this is great, like here's another academy lad involved. And I'd heard and knew about the buzz around Wayne from a young age myself. Like, it was no surprise to anyone involved in the academy at the time that Wayne was going to be quickly progressed up into around the senior football. I suppose. I mean, the youth cup run they had, and the free kicks he scored, that probably accelerated it again. But it was no surprise, and I just thought it was good. You know what I mean? It was like myself and Ibo had got in, and Ozzy was in and around it. Peter Clark had got in. I'd got in. Wayne was now with us. It was like we were all up together. And it was just a bunch of mates playing for Everton, which is like great. It was great.
Dream,
yeah, it was. So over the pre-season, I was obviously just thinking, get fit, and my professionalism and my attitude was always good. Yeah. So I knew I always thought my approach to it, and I say this to some of the younger lads now when I'm working with them, I think younger players get an opportunity in pre-season or the end of the season or pre-season because everyone needs minutes. There's loads of friendlies. So it gives you a good opportunity. I always had the mindset of I wanted to be up and around the front of the running and stuff like that in pre-season, because I knew an opportunity had come my way. And if you look through some of the pre-season games, I was a regular scorer in the pre-season games. But I had my mindset on that. You know, I was I wanted to always make sure that I got off to a good start, because as the season goes on, obviously the managers go to the senior players, which rightly so. But I knew pre-season you get an opportunity, and that pre-season was no different really. I just thought, get a good start, go and make sure that you're fit, and again, more than anything else, I was just loving it. The senior lads were brilliant. Davy Weir and Stubbsy and Big Dunk and Scott Gemmell and all the senior lads were brilliant with those younger lads. They didn't make us feel like, didn't try and push us out. They didn't try and make us feel that we didn't deserve to be there. I think they were enjoying our sort of enthusiasm and our energy as much as we were. So it was just a good time to be part of it. And Everton obviously picked up a little bit under the manager, who was quite young himself as a coach. So I think he appreciated what us as a group of young lads were bringing to the squad at the time.
How good was Wayne then, training and playing?
Brilliant. I mean, again, at the time, you weren't necessarily looking every day in awe of Wayne. You were just appreciating how great he was. But you look back now, and you're like, he's come out and just starts smashing balls all over the place, and he'd like hit the crossbar from the halfway line. It was a thing on the Soccer AM at the time, wasn't it? But he'd smash a ball off the crossbar, and then he'd go on again, and he'd do it again. He'd go on again, and he'd do it again. And you're thinking, I know, they've fallen the spin there from the halfway line. He hasn't had a warm up, but he's a special talent, wasn't he? And he was a good lad, and he was enjoying playing for Everton like we all were. Physically, I remember we did a run once, and I thought I was all right at running. We did like a there and back, a doggy. I think it was like 5 or 6 doggies. I think he was on his 6th and I was still on my 3rd. He was that quick and powerful. And I thought, I know, miles ahead. He was just a unique talent. And I remember being in the stand for the goal he scored, the Arsenal goal. And I was absolutely made up for him, you know, like delighted for him. But yeah, he was a couple of years below me, and looking back now, obviously he was gonna progress and get a game, and obviously that meant that someone was probably going to get moved on. But that's football. That's the conveyor belt of what it was like at the time. Obviously, as I say, Danny Cadd and Fylde Evans were before me. Wayne, James Vaughan, Victor Anachibi were behind me, and credit to the academy and the staff. I mean, it's unbelievable to keep churning out first team players at Premier League level, but that's what was happening.
The next season, obviously, were you surprised that you didn't feature more then? Because obviously you'd score goal. I know you're saying now you look back and you go, well, I was 18, 19, he was 16, and we also had Ferguson and we had you know, Kevin Campbell and people like that. So it is difficult for 2 young players to get in there. What was that like from a personal? Was that frustrating because you're scoring goals pre-season and then you come into that?
Yeah, and I had a hernia issue as well. I had a groin issue, and I think that was the season I started at Arsenal. The first game of the season was Arsenal away, and I don't know if it was that year or the year after. And I started. I think I'd had a good pre-season. A few of the lads had got injured, and I remember we went down to London, and the manager said, whoever's got the shirt, fight to keep hold of it. And if you haven't got a shirt, fight to get one. And I was in the team, and I thought, I'm going to fight to keep hold of my shirt, because it was a bit unexpected, because obviously I think Kevin was injured and Big Duncan must have been injured. And I played, and I think it was Jens Lehmann's debut for Arsenal. In the first 5 minutes, Cross came across, and they had a good side. It was like Freddie Ljungberg and Robert Laurent, Perez, Henry, all that. The cross come in from the right side, and I should have scored. I was only 6 yards out, and I got to the end of it, and I tried to go back across Lehmann from where the cross had come from, and he just stuck his big German boot out and saved it, and he saved it. And I was only about 5 yards out, and I think if I scored there, first game of the season, I might have kept hold of my shirt, and he saved it, and I think Arsenal went on to win the game. I can't quite remember the score. And I never really got back in then. That was like, I didn't really get back in, and then I had a hernia issue. So I ended up getting that operated on, which was probably the start of just a few niggly things that then caught up with me, and I'd never had that.
Yeah.
And then obviously Wayne got in, and once Wayne got in, that was going to be it. He was going to stay. But again, there was no. I don't remember initially there being that much frustration, because I'd still had that. I was still humble enough to know I was at Everton. You know, I wasn't on the local Parks team. I was in and around the Premier League. And Wayne was doing so well as well. It was you were wrapped up in, like, it was amazing to have such a talented lad being in and around and doing so well for Everton. So again, there was still a little bit of that. Like, I was glad for him, and I think Ozzy had broken in at that time, so I was glad for him. So I was still there. I was still in and around it. But I had one or two issues that I had to sort out myself in terms of injury. When I just couldn't quite get going. But at no point at that time was I thinking that was the end of it for me. I was thinking I've just got to fight to get back involved. Yeah, which is
obviously the right attitude anyway. Had a loan at Derby County, 6 appearances there. Yeah. What was the first experience of going out on loan?
Yeah.
Was that a difficult decision to go?
No.
No? Okay.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. I think David Moyes had like a pecking order. He had a pecking order of where you were within strikers, and that worked out. I knew where I was. I was sort of towards the bottom end of the strikers he had available. But I knew I was young enough to perhaps go out on loan and get some goals. I played quite a lot in the Resis, and I think about it now. I think you can. I mean, definitely now with the 21 system, you can play too long at that level. Yeah. And I'd played a lot of Resi games, and where that feeling of wanted to go and score and prove myself and move up a level, I'd sort of done that, and that was just so the Resi's just become a bit of a holding ground for me, and I didn't want to stagnate really and stay in that Resi system for too long. So I wanted to go out and get games and use that low move to again put pressure on the managers to get me involved. And I went to Derby. They'd had a transfer embargo. I think they were bottom of the Championship at the time. I think it was one of the first couple of seasons they'd been out the Premier League, but they still had a lot of big players and good players on good money. So I went there, and they had like Ravanelli up top, and they had Rob Lee in midfield, Warren Barton, Craig Burley. They had some lads who had good careers in the Premier League. King Clancy was there, and then I've rocked up. I've rocked up as like 17. First loan move. John Gregory was the manager. And I found it, for the first time ever, I found it tough.
Did you?
Yeah, because they weren't in a great place. The fans were on them. And at my age, going in, I remember having a shot, and Ravanelli giving it all the Italian stuff at me. And I was thinking, I hadn't had that with the senior pros at Everton. All the lads had been right behind me. Yeah. And I thought that was a bit... I've not experienced that before. And some of the senior lads were like, there's trouble going between the manager and the senior players, and as it does when you're near the bottom, and the club was in a bit of financial trouble. Unbelievable club, unbelievable training facilities, unbelievable fan base, but they were just in a bit of a bad place. I think the manager got sacked after 3 games, and we'd been there. John Gregory got sacked. I think we went away to Preston and got trounced about 4. So it was a bit of a hostile environment for me. And I had that feeling that lone players sometimes have, where I can't wait to get back. So I got back to Everton, and I remember the manager, David Moyes, pulled me in, and he said, "You haven't scored in 6 games, you know." And it was the first time I thought I was there to be judged. Yeah. And he let me know I hadn't done as well as probably what I could have done. But that stood me in good stead for my next loan move, because when I went to Millwall, I was like, I can't let this one not go great either. Yeah. And that one went a lot better for me. Yeah. So it was a good part of my journey. That first loan move, I always think sometimes it can be difficult for any young player. I think that now, but obviously 17, 18, I wasn't thinking that. I was like, great, I'll go to Derby, score a few goals, I'm back in. Yeah. And it didn't quite work out like that.
Great experience though, like you say, because I know it'd have been better to go and score 6 and 6 and everything's going brilliantly, but you have got to sort of grow up very quickly there, haven't you? And you're also going into an environment where They're not messing around, are they? You know, the fans want results. And
Exactly.
I remember Liam Osman going to Derby, and he said that sort of that kicked him on as well.
Yeah.
You just meant, I mean, the same 2003-4, 4 appearances for Everton, 1 goal in the cup, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then you did go off to Millwall 4 and 15, but in a good side, and a side that played with Tim Cahill, and a side that got to the FA Cup final.
It was. I still hadn't lost that. Bristol City was the League Cup game, and I came on. We needed a goal. I remember Jimmy Coleman saying, "Come on, you'll score here." And I went, "Yeah, I'll score." As soon as I go on, Jim with a free kick, I went, "I'll score now." So on a goal, free kick comes in, and I head it in. And again, that was still. I still had that feeling of that's what it was like for me at Everton. And even though I'd gone to Derby and not scored, I was just.
Put it down to not as good players.
And I went there and went on and scored, and then I had the opportunity to go to Millwall, which I wanted to do. Again, because I thought, again, same thing. I'll go to Millwall, score a few, and come back and prove my point. And it was it's interesting now because I think back, because he must have been clever, the manager. He was half sending me there for me to get experience, but he was half sending me there to keep eyes on Tim Cahill. So, and I wasn't aware of that, obviously. No. So I've gone down there with Tim, and he was great with me, and Tony Warner was there, and they had a good side. They reached the FA Cup final, but we were halfway up. Dennis Wise was the manager, Ray Wilkins was assistant, so real good football people. And I went down there and loved it. Did really well. Scored, played well. We had a good side. It was different down there. It was like the London football scene was a little bit different. Probably a few more nights out and a bit more like in the northwest. If you're Everton, you're not socialising with Liverpool or Man City. You're Everton. You know what I mean? As it was different in London. It was like if you played for Millwall, you'd socialise with, like, I don't know, Brentford or Chelsea or West Ham. You'd sort of, like, they all knew each other. That was weird for me. It was different. But lived in a hotel, that was different as well. That was something away from home. But I quite enjoyed. And the lads were great, and it had more of an Everton feel to it at Millwall when I was there than what Derby had. It was similar.
Togetherness.
Wisey had that spirit, and we had a tough side. Kevin Muscat was in the team, and there was some proper players, and kicked off regularly, and we were all right. We didn't mind that. With the players we had and Wisey as manager, that we liked a bit of that. So it was the Den. Obviously, playing at the Den every week was a tough place for opposition to come, but because you were one of them,
they were all right.
We were fine. We were fine. So I loved it. I'd done really well. I went there the first time and done well. Again, I had a groin issue. Had to come back, and had a hernia up. And I was desperate to get back there. Really, they wanted me to go back, and they were in the FA Cup. They had a good FA Cup run, and that just caused. David Moyes pulled me in. He wanted me to go to Coventry. So I come back, had a hernia operation, and the manager wanted me to go to Coventry. Archie Knox was at Coventry at the time, probably to give me a different experience, or I'm not too sure why. But I said to him, I want to go back to Millwall, like. And he went, well, Millwall on him for you. I went, well, they are, because Wisey's been on the phone. And he went, that's illegal. You can't do that. And I was like, well, So I remember he came in once to the medical room, and all the lads were in there, and I was on the medical bed. And he said, "Are you going then?" The manager said, "Are you going?" I went, yeah. Millwall? And he went, "No, Coventry." And I went, all eyes on, and I said, "Can I come and see you?" So
good answer.
Yeah. So I had to go up and see him. So that was the first time, really. I mean, David Moyes has been amazing for me. But he wanted me to go to Coventry, but I was hell bent on going back to Millwall just because Wisey was great for me. Ray Wilkins was brilliant. We were in the FA Cup semi-final, and I was thinking, I'll some of that. So I managed to go back there. The game before the FA Cup semi-final, I went back. We played Walsall. It was my first game back there. I was sub. I think I got on. Then Wisey pulled me and said, "You'll be sub for the semi-final at Old Trafford, but I'll get you on." Which I was all right with. I'd only just gone back there, Tim scored, but then I think a couple of lads had real bad injuries. Someone broke the leg, and one of the lads done the cruciate. So there was 2 early subs in the game, and I remember sitting on the bench at Old Trafford thinking, I'm getting on supposedly, but there's only 1 sub left and we're winning. I was thinking he's going to bring a centre forward on when we're winning, and he didn't. Tactically, he couldn't.
Yeah.
So I never got on. Yeah, devastated. Yeah. But great to be part of, and some great memories on getting to the FA Cup final. The bus journey home back down south was great, and then finished the season quite strong. Didn't do as well during my second spell, but it was the dynamic of the club had changed with the cup run. Yeah. Wisey was managing the team that was obviously going to play in the cup final. And as it turned out, I think my loan spell, you can only do a maximum amount of days on loan. So my spell had finished just at the end of the season, maximum amount of days at one club. And I think the cup final was like a week later. And I was like, surely something can be done to extend that. And the FA were like, you can only go on loan for, I think it was 3 months. And Danny Dichio had been sent off at Forest, so he was suspended.
Oh my God.
I would have 100% played against Man United in the cup. It was at the Millennium
Stadium.
But I'd done me time, and they wouldn't extend it. So
that's just nonsense.
Missed out,
isn't it?
Yeah,
that's just not. I know it's different now because you have season loan till the end of the thing, but that is nonsense.
Yeah, I know.
How couldn't?
I know. So I had me suit. I had me suit. We'd recorded the song. I'd gone down. I was down with them in the hotel. Oh, I was shite. I stood at the back. So I was in the hotel, and I was just like, I was with the injured and the non-playing squad instead of walking out. So good memory, but not what it could have been.
No.
I mean, to play in the FA Cup final would have been special. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm just not happy with this.
Not right.
I'm not happy with this.
Long,
that is a disgrace.
I know.
You can't imagine.
I know.
In the cup final, they've got to a cup final. With all due respect to Millwall, they probably weren't expecting.
No.
So the loan should be allowed to. You got injured play. No, I'm not. Some must have been a United fan who kept.
I think now, you know that right now my age now, you'd have kicked off more.
Yeah.
Or you'd have got your agents involved, or I don't know, whatever. But I just was like, oh well, like sort of accepted it.
Oh my God! You were still thinking, I'm going back to Everton.
Probably.
Tons of goals. I'm like, I'll have more goals. But that is so frustrating, so upsetting. Man United won 3-0, did they? In the final, they were a good side though.
Yeah. I think
Ronaldo scored in that, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, the way Wisey went about it, he sort of said, "Look, your cup final was a semi. We've got to enjoy the day here." He made a toast. He made it like a little. He poured everyone a glass of champagne like 10 minutes before the game.
Did he?
Yeah. Half a glass of champagne. And made a toast. I think half the players probably ducked out of this, but I weren't playing, was I? So I was sitting down. But yeah, good experience, great time, great club, good people. A bit like being at Everton, really. It was the people make the football club, don't they? There was good people, and wasn't our day that day in terms of the result, but what an experience for the lads. Yeah,
tough place that is Millwall. Tough place. The next season, 2004-05, Everton gets had a tremendous season.
Yeah,
top 4. We had 5 appearances, 2 goals.
Yeah,
again, but then were you starting to think might be time to move on here because just not getting in as you know, Everton had brought Marcus Benton, hadn't they, and things like that. So
I think we'd been to Texas in pre-season, which was a great trip, and I was still like, looking back now, I was probably a lot more closer to it than what I thought. Yeah, I think I've already mentioned, like, I played in the Resis for quite a few years, or 2 or 3 years. I'd seen like lads have either moved on, like Peter Clark had moved on by then, Keith Sutherland had moved on, Kevin McLeod had moved on. So the lads I came through with, they were either starters like Ibo and Ozzy, or they'd moved on. And I was still sort of like, am I going to break through, am I not?
Even Wayne had gone, hadn't he? Wayne went in that summer as well to United.
So, and then like Vaughan, was sort of just starting to come through a little bit and playing the Resis as well. So I'd gone from, he was the next one coming through. And looking back, I think I should have stayed. I was still like right in and around it, really. Like you say, I'd scored a couple of goals, made a couple of appearances. I think even the Saturday before I left, I think I came on against Sunderland. But I just felt at the time, it was like I'd had a couple of low moves. I remember counting up, and I said David Moyes had a pecking order. I think James Beattie had signed as well. And I remember being 9th, and I remember thinking, I think I'm 9th out of 9 here. I've got 8 lads to get out of my way to get a game. And I still was. I mean, I must have watched Everton. I must have travelled away from home for like 2 or 3 seasons watching Everton. We had 5 subs then as well. Yeah. And I was always 16th man, so I must have watched Everton play more than any other supporter up and down the country. But all that, I like travelling of a weekend, Saturday morning session with Baz sort of in the hotel grounds, just me and him ticking over. I just felt at that time it was at the stage where I still, because of the Millwall loan as well, and because I'd gone and scored and done well, I was like 21, and I was thinking it's the time to go and establish yourself and get back into the Premier League. Probably naively, because it's not as easy as that, as I found out in my career. But there was no reason at that time. I'd scored nearly everywhere I'd been, apart from the Derby move, which was difficult. There was no reason why that I didn't think I was going to go into a club somewhere else and score loads of goals and then someone else want me. That's just what I'd always done. So, yes, that was probably the first season where I started to get a little bit frustrated and perhaps question whether it was going to happen or not. Which, again, looking back now, I was 21. I was in and around the Premier League side, and I played 5 times and scored a couple. You'd be mad to go. But that's just wasn't how I felt about it at the time. I probably could have done with a little bit more. I remember Lee Carsley saying to me, "Don't go." He said, "Like you're riding around it. Why would you want to go?" He said, "Oh, if you are going to go, wait for something that's really exciting." Which was probably good advice. But I was a bit headstrong and wanted to go and prove myself. And I just felt like it was the right time for me. Whether it was a bit too early or not. Probably in hindsight, I would say it was a bit too early for me. But yeah, I was looking to sort of get an opportunity, and I was out of contract that season as well. Which the manager had said, "Don't worry about that. There's another contract for you." Right, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I eventually got offered 4.5 years or 4 years at Plymouth. I thought, it's an half decent deal for 4 years security, and an opportunity to go and score and play in the Championship and establish myself. And I had loads of interest as well, which was giving me confidence. And there was a lot of clubs in the Championship who were asking about me, all saying, "We'll take you at the end of the season or in future." But it was only when someone come in and said, "Now," and David Moyes, it's for the first time agreed, because I think Millwall tried to sign me permanently. And the manager didn't want it to go. Didn't want it to happen. He wanted me to stay. This was the first time he agreed that if I wanted to, I could leave. So maybe I took that. I read something into that as well, that he perhaps, because he'd always been a big advocate of mine. I thought that the manager had always given me an opportunity. He'd always pushed me forward. He'd always spoke to me and treated me like I was a first team player, which I was really respectful of and grateful for. But this was the first time he was giving me the opportunity to leave, and I thought, just weighing everything up, now was the right time. And I was really positive about it. I was obviously gutted to be leaving, but I was positive about the future, and there was no doubt in my mind I was going to go and do really well. So it just felt like the right time, I suppose.
250 grand.
Yeah. A long way, pointing the car south and keep driving.
It is. It's quite far. Quite far.
We played them in the Cup, so we played Plymouth in the Cup a couple of weeks before, and we stayed in some hotel. We stayed in the hotel in the city centre, and it was mad. The hotel was mad. There's loads going on. There's a wedding or something. There's loads going on, and I remember not sleeping at all. And we played the game. It was in the Cup, and I came on and scored and did well. And little did I know, I think the night before was when they put some sort of deal together, the two clubs. The night before that game, which I was totally unaware of. Obviously, came on, scored, did well, And as I say, I was still in and around it then. But when the opportunity came, I took it, and it was a big hard move. But at the time, Plymouth were probably on the up. They'd just come up to the Championship. They were having a right go. They did a good sell on where they wanted to take the club. And I just thought progressive club, playing every week, score loads of goals, and move on again.
Happy days. Scored Plymouth's fastest ever goal.
Yeah,
11 seconds.
Palace, yeah.
So, was that your first goal for Plymouth?
No, I don't think it was. No,
it is the fastest ever.
Yeah. It was a weird one at Plymouth because, again, you don't know what you don't know. And when I got there, I was still only 21. Naively thinking I'll walk into this Championship, score 20, 30 goals, and I'll be off again. That's where I was at. Yeah. That was the belief I had in myself. And I got there with established pros who fought tooth and nail to get into the Championship, and then I've just bounced in thinking it was going to be a doddle. And then we played. I remember we played West Ham, I think, in our second or third game, and they had a good side. West Ham, Sheringham was there at the time, and Anton Ferdinand, and they had a real solid side. Mark Noble was playing, and it was at West Ham, and the atmosphere was great, and we were like massively the underdogs. I think it was my second game, and we got a bit of a doing. I think I could have scored. The goalkeeper made a save, but I remember coming in after the game and giving it to the lads a little bit, and I was like, in my mind, I was there for us to go toe to toe with West Ham. Yeah. But I think during that game, I realised, we're not towards this top end of the Championship. We're miles behind where they are, and then I just thought this might be a little bit tougher than perhaps what it's been playing for Everton when you've got good players putting it on a plate for you. Goals might be a little bit more harder to come by, and that's what I found, really. I found chances were a little bit more harder to come by. I hadn't scored as many as what I thought I'd scored, which was, I found that difficult to deal with as a young player. All of a sudden I wasn't scoring, and I was like, this has never happened before. Never happened. How do you deal with this? Quite a big signing for them at the time. Pressure was on the manager. Pressure was on the assistant manager. He was getting a bit frustrated because they wanted you to come in and score loads of goals as well, but we weren't creating them at the time. We weren't creating chances. Not the chances I was getting when I was playing with the players we had at Everton. So I found that process a bit difficult. But like you say, some real good memories along the way, and some goals, and the fastest ever goal. Tony Pulis was manager by then. We had a kick-off where I basically got set back to the centre-back who played it forward. Mickey Evans, who had a good career at Southampton, flicked it on. And I scored all within 12 seconds, so that kick-off worked, didn't it?
It's not bad. And the other little weird fact is it was equalled by Becerra. This was on your second spell. Beat Wimbledon 2-1 away. He equalled the fastest ever goal. And you scored the second goal that night. So you were on the pitch for that as well, which is a weird little...
I had a broken toe in that game. I played with a broken toe. I had to have an injection in right on my big toe. I had an injection in before the game, an injection at half time. Just like a blocker, just so I didn't feel anything. It was sore, but I remember that goal as well. But that was a different time, because when I went back, when I first went there, it was like club flying high in the Championship, looking to progress. And then when I went back, they were like bottom end of League Two, been through a load of financial problems, fighting for survival. So but it was nice to go back and try and help them stay up.
We will go back to that. So obviously your first spell, you've gone down there. You've ended that. You ended Everton with 21 appearances, 6 goals. It's just not bad at all.
I think it was 3 starts, 5 goals on it.
So it's not bad at all.
That was a good ratio, wasn't it?
And then Plymouth was 83 games and 11 goals. Was that, you've just sort of said it anyway, but was it frustrating for you? Because I guess, why would you think it'd be any different if all the way through you've ever known of football, and then you've played in the top level and still found it, you've still put the ball in the back of the net at that level. Automatically in your head you think, well, if I drop down the level, I'm going to score tons of goals, aren't I? Because I've done it at the highest level. But it is all that other stuff, isn't it? A different environment.
It was,
the players you're playing with aren't at the same level to create your opportunities. And how did you find your own game with that? Did you?
I don't know. Well, I was playing nowhere near as well. But even like the support system, like I mean, it's not like it is today in terms of support staff. But Everton at the time, like the physio department was brilliant.
Yeah.
The sports science lads were great, or fitness lads as they were then. Yeah. Great. The support network around, like if you needed tickets or if your family were coming to the game, or it was all done. And then you went to Plymouth, and it was like none of that existed. Okay. It was like the manager, the physio, and the lads. That was it. You were fending for yourself, and we had like we'd go up on a. When I first went there, they were sponsored by Ginsters, the pasty and sandwich makers. Yeah. And Bob Williamson was the manager, and he liked to go later on a Friday to miss the traffic. So we'd leave Plymouth at like 2 or 3, and we'd get the hotel at like 9 or 10 at night. And it wasn't all singing, all dancing like it had at Everton. It was like the local B&B. And your pre-match meal was some of the sandwiches and pasties on the way up. The Ginsters, who we were sponsored by. Oh, wow. You used to grab some of them on the way up to the game.
Pre-match meal, a pasty.
That was it. There was no like get the hotel all buffet and have all the like. It was just grab something. Yeah. So it was completely different.
That's a culture shock.
Completely different from what I was used to. The lads were great, by the way. We had like there was a lot of lads sort of my age. Some good senior pros who like I say, they'd had a great season the year before to get promoted. But even that, there was a bit of that resentment of like, all of a sudden it had got into the Championship. Now, who are these thinking they're coming in and like being part of what they were quite close. They had a close-knit sort of group to get them up. And then all of a sudden, a couple of these other lads were coming in. Now they'd got to a better league and there was a bit of resistance there. Yeah. So you had to earn the respect of the lads as well, which was fine. It was right. But it was just different than what I'd expected, and what I'd known. And then you were a young lad in Plymouth, and with a lot of other young lads. So you'd finish the game, you'd have a night out, and then you'd probably finish training on a Tuesday, you'd have a night out. And without realising it, looking back now, it probably caught up with you more than probably what you thought. You were still trying to play in the Championship, which was a tough league. So the whole situation was different than what I'd had at Everton, and that. And the main thing for me was not scoring. I always look back now, and the criticism of having scored loads of goals, I found that difficult.
Did you?
Me playing 5, 6, 7, 8 games without scoring, I'd not done that. No. I'd be on the phone with my dad going, I can't nick a goal. They haven't scored. Then you probably try too hard, and then so I just didn't have that experience to be able to deal with that initially. But there was some good performances along the way, and there was some good games. Home Park was absolutely rocking at the time because they were in the Championship. Your big clubs, your Sheffield Uniteds, and your Blackburns, and your whatever else, West Hams were coming. And it was there was a great buzz around the city, and I absolutely loved it there. I loved the place. Go back now still. Love the lads. It just, football didn't go the way I thought it was going to. Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? Again, you're a young lad and you've got that move from a Premier League club, and it is all that environment. Got to go improve myself again. And they paid money for me. And we need goals, and it just isn't going away. And then
I lived on my own as well. So like I was like 21. And I had this big apartment, and I was living on my own, like 5 hours away from anyone who I knew. And I remember walking around the hole down there. It's lovely, but I remember walking around and like reading the paper in the sun, just getting the tan, reading the paper. And then so some of the lads would walk past, but they'd walk around with like other lad mates or teammates. And I hadn't quite infiltrated that, and all of a sudden you felt a little bit on my own here. And again, there's probably things put in place now that support that sort of thing, but back then there wasn't. You was just get on with it. But I soon got over that. Do you know what I mean? I was soon thick as thieves with all the lads, and my friends who I made down there who were friends for life. But when you first go down there as a young player, it was just different.
Culture shock. So I've come to the end of that contract then. Hereford United. coming.
So I'd had loads of injuries.
I was going to say, you were looking at you, and you started to pick up injuries. And then...
So it started at Everton with a couple of hernias, and I had shin splints at Everton as well. And then I went down to Plymouth, and there probably wasn't that care and that specialist attention. I had like inserts in my boots, and I had like different bits going on that Everton had sorted. And then you get down to Plymouth, and it's like, well, we don't do that here. And then it's like, right, okay, so, but it started to affect me. It started to like, after the first couple of years, it had gone all right, and then the second 2 seasons, I think I only played about 8 games in 2 years. I just couldn't get fit. I remember coming back after being out for a while with my groin, played in a resi game, and done my knee, and I was out for another few months. Then I'd done my other knee. It was like I could just never get going for 2 seasons.
How'd you cope with that?
It was hard. It was hard because I knew in my head where I wanted to go and what I was here for, but it weren't happening, and there wasn't much I could do about it. Every time I tried to do something, I'd break down, and I'd never had that really. I'd had the odd one when it was Everton, but never did I think it was going to be like one after another after another. And even my dad would get frustrated, and I just didn't think. Come the end of it, I thought, I can't get through 2 or 3 games of footy here without being injured, and it was like real difficult. Like, when I left, I was like, I just need to go and play somewhere, anywhere. Just go and start playing football again. Yeah, and you'll pick up what level you'll get to as you go. So I'd gone like, I probably lost half a yard of pace as well. I probably lost a little bit of like, my focus only ever coming through was to play for Everton. Yeah, and then you lose that little bit of edge in your mindset. That probably affected you as well because it wasn't Everton anymore. So that was a tough time for us. And then when you leave, like, no one wanted to take you because I remember so many clubs said, well, we're going to pay him, but he doesn't play. No one wants to, at lower levels, why is someone going to pay you half decent money if they can't guarantee it 10 games out of you? So that recent history of me never been able to play a game or get through, there was like a stigma attached then all of a sudden. So I ended up going to Hereford in League One, which was only in league terms a step down, but again in size of club, it was a big step down. But I just knew I had to try and reinvent myself, and knew I had to try and get back playing. But again, Hereford in League One, I think my second game was Leeds away, and Leeds were like so far ahead of where Hereford were at. It was like, I remember being stood up front at Ellen Road, and I think the rest of the team like 50 yards deeper than me. I think they had about 50 shots to our one. And the assistant manager pulled me in and said, we need a bit more. And I'm thinking, we haven't had a kick. You know what I mean? I've been stood up there, I've not had a kick.
Not had the ball,
so we were up against it a little bit, but nicked a goal, didn't really enjoy it. Wasn't really for me, just where it was. Training ground the pitches weren't great. The lunch after training weren't great. The gym was like under the stand, and I just didn't enjoy it really. And I got to Christmas, and John McMahon, who I knew from Everton, from a youth team coach at Everton, was at Shrewsbury, and he said, I think we'd be interested, and I couldn't wait to get there. And I knew it was a league down again, back into League Two, but I thought it would be a better club, and I knew the training would be better because I knew John, and I knew I'd enjoy it more. So I went there after only half a season. Yeah.
How did you find that then, Shrewsbury?
Went well, yeah. Me and Grant Holt up front. We had a half decent side running around the playoffs. John was good. Paul Simpson was the manager. He was good as well. I still felt like I was still trying to find my feet. I was still trying to get my game back. I mean, I played 10 games at Hereford. Then my first 10 games I put together in 2 years. So I was still trying to find my feet in terms of getting my game back, but I felt like I was starting to make progress. I thought I did all right at Shrewsbury. Finished in the League Two playoff final, which we got beat in the last minute, and that was quite pivotal, I thought, because Paul Simpson, he's done this previous as well. I've kept an eye on it since, but if he doesn't quite get what he wants, he sort of like clears the decks, and that's what he did at Shrewsbury. We lost in like the last minute of the playoff final, and I think in his mind he thought, I need to make changes. And it was only like we arrived back from Wembley. I think we had a day off, but then the next morning he had everyone in for meetings, and he said, "I'm making changes. You won't get another contract." And I thought, I hadn't been there for, I think I made 10 appearances or something for Shrewsbury. I hadn't made many appearances, but I'd done all right. And again, I'd been told, "I'm going to make changes. There's not going to be anything for you." And I thought, a bit harsh that. But again, I was learning sort of the ruthlessness of football. It's the way it is. And I hadn't quite got my game to where I thought I needed it to be, or I could get it to. And I'd lost, looking back now, you lost at least half a yard. I was struggling a bit with my knee day to day. It wasn't just about the training. All of a sudden, it was about the management of your knee, management of your groin, your pre-activation, your stuff that you didn't really want to be doing. Where talk about when I was at Everton, really, you'd do a little bit of that and then you'd get out and train. Didn't even think about it. Now I'm thinking about, have I done this? Have I done that? Have I done the other? Which again was probably the day to day of being a footballer, but it wasn't something as a young player I had to even think about. So that was difficult. And then you're left without a club. And then I was like, by this time, I was like, wanted to be in the northwest. I'd done a lot of travelling up and down the country. So my mindset had changed a little bit to leave Everton, score a load of goals, get back in the Premier League, to have a career, stay in the northwest, be happy. My priorities had changed a little bit, so I stayed local, went to Chester, which was an experience. Liked the football, did well. Was in the conference, expected, should have done well as well, really, from where I'd been. But it within 2 or 3 seasons, I'd gone from like leaving Everton to you're in the conference. It was like, leaving Plymouth, probably about 4 or 5 seasons. But leaving Plymouth and you're in the conference, and that was hard to adjust to. But I enjoyed it at Chester, and Mick Wadsworth was great, respected coach, really good. And just give me the chance to score goals again and get back. I just enjoyed playing the game again, which was important because I'd gone 3 seasons without really enjoying the game and not even playing the game. So it was nice just to be back playing football again there.
Done well, Chester, and then on to Barrow. And then that was the most games you played for a while.
So Chester went bump.
There you went bump, didn't you? The end of the season.
And there was a lot going on there. But that went bump. Wimbledon wanted to take me down south. Stevenage wanted to take me, but they were all clubs that, like, at that stage, I wasn't interested in. I just wanted to. And Barrow trained in Manchester, so it was an easy one for me to jump there and keep playing at the same level I've been playing at. They were doing all right. They won the trophy that season, and again, got back playing and played quite a few games. Ended up with a knee injury that wasn't happy. Wasn't happy with how that. I got looked after there. Well, I didn't get looked after, really. It was just like going sorted on the NHS, and I was like, so I got the PFA involved. The PFA were great. They helped me out with that. And then I went to Stockport with Didi, who phoned me, and I went to Stockport, who'd just been relegated to the National League from out the league. But obviously, I had a lot of respect for Didi for what he'd done in the game, and we had a chat, got on great. And again, give me a chance to continue to try and salvage and rebuild some sort of career.
You've done well at Stockport. 19 games, 7 goals.
Done well. It was a difficult time for the club. Good club, well supported, but the fan base was frustrated because they dropped out the league. The expectation was we're going to walk the National League, go straight back up. But with the financial restrictions at the time, a lot of young players had signed. I think I was brought in really as the experienced one, and it was captain, and I tried to sort of just lead them the best way I could. But there was a lot of lads who hadn't played a lot of games, and with the expectation of the fan base, that was quite difficult. They were frustrated, but did quite well personally. We were in and around the playoffs, but that was never really enough for the fan base. And as I say, they expected to walk the league, and Didi got sacked. And Jim Gannon came in, and he couldn't wait to get rid of a couple of us. But I'd done quite well, quite a bit of interest. So he wanted to change things around and do things his own way. And we had a chat, and we both agreed it was probably best I move on. And Plymouth was struggling in League Two. And I got the opportunity to go back, and I jumped at it, to be honest. I wanted to go back there and finish my time there on a better on a better footing than being injured all the time, and I wanted to go back and play for the club again. And I know they'd had a lot of problems, Plymouth, but it was a good opportunity for me to use what I'd done at Stockport, get back into the league and go and play there. So Carl Fletcher gave me the opportunity to go back as more of a senior pro. I doubled my money and went back to Plymouth. So it ended all right.
Yeah, you done all right when you went back as well.
Yeah, initially I did well.
Yeah,
I was fitting well and initially did quite well. Scored some important goals. Me, Darren Pearce, Warren Feeney, Paul Watton signed 4 of us who experienced ones who went back. And we did well, stayed up. And then the next season, I got sent off in pre-season the next season. Daftly. And had a bit of a fallout with Fletch. And that season didn't go as well. He eventually got sacked, and I was sort of in and out really. But again, I was getting to that stage. I was like 30 odd. I'd gone down there, done well, kept them up. Done what I'd gone down there to do. And I weren't the same player either. I was like 30s. I'd had like 12 operations or whatever, and it wasn't. I knew what I wanted to do, but couldn't quite do it. But glad I went back because I love the club, love the area, and I was grateful for Fletch taking me back. Yeah.
So when did coaching sort of come into it then? Because obviously you've had some injuries and you've had a lot of operations, as you've just said there. So are you starting to think what they would do next at this stage, or
I all my time really, I had people coming up to me going like, you talk sense, and have you thought about coaching, have you thought about management? Because I was never shy and able to, like, we had team meetings, I'd voice my opinion or have a say. And as I said at the very start, love the game, we always wanted to be involved in the game. So it found me in a way, in terms of a lot of people were saying to me, do you want to take this warm up, or go and take the strikers, or what's your opinion on this? Or certainly as I got a little bit older in my career, but also I was also switched on to the fact that I wasn't going to be running around like a spring chicken forever, to say the least. So when I went back to Plymouth the second time around, Kev Nangscaville, who's in and around the first team now, he was in and around the youth stuff at Plymouth at the time, said come and take the 16s on a Tuesday or Thursday night when there's not a game. So I started to do that. I started just to get involved and going in and around the under 16 team when I went back to Plymouth. When I was also, before that, when I was in and around, when I'd gone to the conference at Chester, I'd phoned Neil Dewsnip at Everton. And I said, Neil, I'm back local. I said, I'm interested in getting involved in the coaching. How do I go about it? And they were brilliant. And you come work with the younger ones, 9s, 10s, 11s, getting around it. Just see if you enjoy it. So I did a bit of that before I went back down to Plymouth. And I loved it. Loved their just like raw enthusiasm and fun they had for the game, which was like that was what I was like when I was going in. So to be able to be around that and being around Finch Farm and get involved in that was great. As I say, did a little bit with the 16s when I went back down to Plymouth, and then I started to when I knew I was leaving Plymouth towards the end, and I wanted to get into coaching more seriously. I was thinking in my mind it was like the playing was outweighing the coaching, but I'd phase the coaching in until it eventually outweighed the playing. That's how I wanted to sort of like transition, if you like, into something else. So when I left Plymouth, I went on loan to Tamworth for a bit, which was like back towards this. With the idea of that was to get me back towards the north. Set up base in Ormskirk, travelled to Tamworth for a bit, played on loan there for a bit. But again, the intention was to get into the coaching and play somewhere back in the northwest at the end of the season, really. So left Plymouth and come back into the northwest, and I had a couple of offers to go to like Southport and some of the local non-league clubs, but I didn't really want to do it. I wanted to get into the coaching. I felt like in my mind I didn't want to just trawl all the lower levels just for a few quid. That wasn't really what I wanted to do. I thought I want to get into the coaching as soon as possible.
Okay.
I think I'd already got my B licence, and just build that up. So I got into Blackburn. Blackburn offered me a job part-time with the 15s. So I went and done that. I did some coaching of a day at a school, which was interesting. A load of kids who'd fallen out of school, and through footy they were keeping them in education, and I was taking them for the football part of it. So it wasn't really
lively.
It wasn't really coaching. It was more behaviour management. But actually, looking back now, it probably stood me in good stead for some coaching. So I did that in the day, and was at Blackburn of an evening, and of a weekend. Blackburn were brilliant. Academy there is excellent. Really, really good. They knew I wanted to be full time, so I think I did that for a season part time.
Yeah.
With one or two other bits and bobs, but then I was putting them under a bit of pressure to get in full time. And other than working in the foundation phase with the younger ones, they didn't really have anything full time, and I sort of knew with my experience and my playing background that I was probably better with one or two of the older age groups. I knew I'd done some of the younger stuff when I'd gone back in at Everton. I was now working with the 14s, 15s at Blackburn. And then I got the opportunity to go to Wigan as the 18s coach, which was full time. And I thought that suited me and fit in well with where I was at in terms of, I probably still think now my strength is developing them younger pros and scholars into professionals and first team players. A bit like when I'd gone from Stoke into being a scholar at Everton under Colin and under Taff. I felt that was a pivotal time for me, and that was a time that I enjoyed, and I thought I'd be quite good at instilling them disciplines and values and behaviours and what it took to be a pro. And I still was quite relatable because I'd just come out the game. So I went to Wigan anyway as 18s coach, and that was really where I really started to learn coaching and become good at coaching. I thought I was good when I was at Blackburn when I first started, but everyone does. You come out the game and think you know loads about footy. It'll be easy this, but there's loads of ex pros who've gone into coaching, and it's not as easy as what you'd think. But I found I had all the knowledge, but how to get that across to young players and how to teach young players and to treat each individual as different and different learning styles amongst different kids. I started to develop all that at Wigan. I worked with Alex Gibson, who'd been with England under 21s and who'd been at Man City for years and been with the FA, and he was sort of like my mentor, if you like, and he was amazing. He was amazing to work with, and what I learned and taught and picked up from him, it was like being a scholar again, really, but I was like a coaching scholar. And we had some fun. Like, he's a lot older than me, Gibbo, but me and him were out with the kids every day, the youth team kids at Wigan. Gregor Rioch was the academy manager. He's now the technical director at Wigan, but he real switched on, played the game as well. So I had a great relationship with Greg, and we just had good kids who'd come out of like your Liverpools and Evertons and Cities, but were still talented kids, and we had an amazing environment where gave me the chance to really sort of start coaching on a daily basis, and very quickly we did really, really well.
Yeah, full enjoying it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean we had some good players. I think something like 400 odd appearances from them kids we had at Wigan now in the leagues, and a couple of lads have gone for a couple of million to like Hull, Charlie Hughes and Joe Gellard's at Hull, and Tello's at Luton, and Callum Lang's at Portsmouth, and these lads have gone on for like millions of pounds. When Wigan went into admin, if it had not been for that academy work we'd done, the club probably would have folded. So the fact that they've gone on to be sold for, as I say, a couple of million each and keep the club going and to be part of that was amazing. And then to take the 21s and getting around the first team with Paul Cook, who was at the Championship, was good. All of a sudden you start getting to that senior end of the coaching. And then dip my toe in at Fylde with the assistant manager with Jim Bentley. So that was sort of, then I'd gone like from that development coaching into the senior end.
Was it a difficult decision to leave Wigan and to go to Fylde? Because it is development, then all of a sudden back into senior.
Yeah, I'd done 4 years at Wigan. So I'd I'd established myself.
Yeah.
We'd had some amazing lads, and we still had amazing lads. We had great, real talented lads.
Yeah.
I loved it. But again, everyone wants to have a go at that top end, don't they? And Wigan had just gone into administration. I think the week I left, they'd just gone into admin. So it was like, are we going to get paid?
Yeah,
What's that look like all of a sudden? And I knew it was going to be a turbulent couple of years. And Jim Bentley phoned me up and said, look, I'm going to have a change in my backroom staff. We're in the Conference North. I think we'll get promoted back into the conference. Would you come and help me? We need someone who can coach.
Yeah.
He's a great manager, Jim, great fella. But he didn't want to. He wasn't day to day on the grass coaching the lads. He needed someone to come in and work with the lads and bring a bit of a freshness to what he was doing. He'd had Kenny McElhenney with him for years at Morecambe, and they'd done brilliantly. But he just wanted someone to come in and help him. So I went in, and we had a good side. We were never out the top 2 for 18 months. If the COVID year we'd have gone up, but then the league got null and void. So we're top and the league gets null and void. So we never went up. The year after, we had a bit of misfortune. A couple of lads had injuries and illnesses, and I could do it first team level. Just wasn't quite the same season, but we were still top 2. Yeah. I think we fell to 4th, and Jim got the sack. And it was like first time we fell at the top 2 in 18 months, and he was gone.
Wow.
I stepped in, won a couple of games. The lads wanted me to take it on. New manager come in and wanted to bring his own backroom staff, which is football. So we left Fylde, having done well. I thought we'd done really well. Played some good football, and then we went into Rochdale, which was a different experience altogether. Again, looking for an opportunity, and there's so many out there. Coaches and managers want an opportunity. Sometimes you'll take one that's probably not right for you. And me and Jim probably did that at Rochdale. Went into Rochdale, who they were near the bottom of League 2, in financial trouble. A lot of lads were on long contracts who probably weren't quite good enough, and they had a lot of injuries as well. So it was firefighting from day one, really. And again, you get assured that, look, if things don't go great, then you'll get the next season with your own squad to turn it around and have a go. And then 6 months later, you're out the door. So the harsh realities of first team football, isn't it? It's happened to plenty of coaches and managers along the way, and great experience in terms of off the pitch and trying to find training grounds and things that you're a million miles away from the Premier League stuff, but is the day-to-day reality of working in the Football League. So some great experiences for me. Some great ones at Fylde in terms of football we played and how we managed to develop the team and some of the young lads we worked with. And then at Rochdale, sort of the adversity stuff, how to manage adversity and all that stuff. So still as a young coach, I've had some great experiences that I've now managed to take with me to Wrexham.
How did Wrexham come about then?
I spoke to a couple of people who was out of work. Had a couple of opportunities to move a bit further afield, but I was divorced and had two girls, so I didn't want to move away from them too. It was still a massive part of my life, so I didn't really want to move around. I'd my fingers burnt at first team level, so I wasn't going to jump in again as a first team coach. It was a possibility. I had a couple of opportunities to move a bit further away and do that, but I just didn't feel it was the right time for me. Just wanted something with a little bit more security. Felt I'd done a really good job at Wigan at building it up from over sort of 3 or 4 years and bringing some players through. A couple of people rang me and said, "Look, what's going on at Wrexham's amazing. The investment, what's going on at first team level. Would you be interested in going and starting up the youth system there? They're restarting it. They've kept it going on a shoestring, but they want to have a right go at it. They want to make it one of the best academies in the country in the next 5 to 10 years. Could you come in and start putting things in place?" Initially, I was a bit unsure, if I'm honest. I was thinking, there's not really an academy there at the minute. I've worked at a good level. Do I want to go back and sort of build something up from the very start? But also, I had some good advice that was like, this was yours to mould and to shape and to start, and there's no end where it could end up. So to be in from the very start and build something and be responsible for that was quite appealing. So I met Phil Parkinson. They'd been to America on tour, and I met the manager. And he sold it that it was going to be such a big thing for the club, and with the owners, they want to not only build the first team, they want to build the area.
Yeah,
they've got a vision for North Wales and the football there, and North Wales kids playing and representing Wrexham, and that's going to be a big part of the club moving forward. So for me to be part of that and to lead on that initially, I think I was the first appointment, and for the manager to be so positive, and also for me I got on great with Phil Parkinson straight away.
Yeah,
he understood me, I felt, and I understood him, and we've got a great relationship. So I still had that first team involvement, which was good for me, and for me to be around them first team staff for my development has been amazing. So I did it, and it's been in 2 years. It's been brilliant. We've managed to get it up and running. I think we've took on 60 odd staff now just in the academy alone, and academy managers come in and he takes on the bulk of sort of leading and driving the academy, and that's left me to be able to liaise with the first team staff and the top end of it, so I can drive that sort of professional development phase, 16 to 21. I can get in with the manager on a daily basis and the assistant. We can work out who's training with the first team, who's training with the reserve team, who's training with the youth team, and then just be able to build that now, get better players in. We've had some good ones already. We've been fortunate. We've had some great kids already. The catchment area and the ambition of the club, I absolutely love it. It's a great place to be. It's great to be part of, and fingers crossed we can get promoted this year.
Have you met Ryan and Rob yet?
No, Rob, yeah. Okay. It's the first question everyone asks.
Yeah, I've got well, I wanted to make it the second, so there you go.
No, it's the first question most people ask.
Yeah.
But they are...
Rob McElhenney. Yeah. Just because people get his name.
That's it, Rob McElhenney. Yeah, they drive it. They've been unbelievable for the football club. Yeah. And they've been over... Rob McElhenney's been over more than Ryan. Yeah. So we've met him. He's been in around it. They drive it. They're probably the two people that made it all happen. They had this vision, didn't they, for the club? With the TV show, the TV cameras have been around the house and filmed the kids and stuff like that. So that's been an experience. Not one I've particularly enjoyed, but
it's all part of it.
Face for radio and all that.
It's all part.
I know it is all part of it. I said that to the missus. I said the film crew want to come round, and film the kids and film the house. So what do you think? And I suppose I'd be quite private than right, throwing yourself in front of something like that. Yeah. But it is part of it. I suppose when I spoke to the manager, he said, look, it's all part of being at Wrexham. It's all part of the club, and it's something that we've got to embrace and enjoy, and the experience of it's good. So Mrs. wasn't very happy. She'd just done all the house for Christmas. And round they come, and they needed to clear everything out of the way, so they just lashed everything, the tree and all that. That was to one side of the room, and the cameras were all set up. But
did they put it back?
Put it all back.
That's okay.
They put it all back. So no, it's been an experience, and the kids and the kids at the club, the scholars are great. The young pros are great. They're just they're embracing the opportunity as much as everyone else is at the football club. The staff have come in and been good. So. We've just got to keep driving it now. It's not easy. It's had its challenges, but keep driving it, keep building it, and hopefully we're providing the manager with a couple of young players in a couple of years' time, like we've done previously at Wigan.
It's it's outside of it. It's a hugely exciting thing that's going on at Wrexham. I mean, obviously, I've watched all the Welcome to Wrexham's and well aware of everything that goes on there. And it is a thing where you look at the Wrexham got it, which is we talk about it in here of things we've seen. But I'm not impressed that Ryan hasn't been to meet you. I think he needs to get his finger out there.
When they come over, it's such a fanfare. So they come over and there's so much going on. And I think my job ultimately is the football, do you know what I mean? So I get in with the football staff, and it's a little bit like all that's going on. There's a game to be played. So,
but Ryan Reynolds, go and meet Nick. I sort of, you're looking at young players, bringing them through. What exactly then does your role? Because you are the lead PDP coach and pathway for. So what exactly does that entail, sort of on a day-to-day basis for you?
Yeah, so I'll currently lead the coaching of the under-18 side. So the PDP will be from 16 when they come in out of school, up to 21. Now, normally at the end of the scholarship years at under-18 level, they'll then become young pros at 19, and then second-year pros at 20, 21. So I'll oversee that process, if you like. I'll be in with them, with the first team staff of a morning. We'll discuss what the day looks like. Or the young lads the young pros training with the youth team, or the young pros training with the first team. There might be a reserve team game that I'll take, or Dave Jones, the first team coach, will take if it's going to be all the seniors. I'll just assist him. But we work that. The good thing is that currently at Wrexham, in terms of the coaching staff, there's not many of us, so it's still that tight-knit field. I think the manager likes that. So there's 4 or 5 of us in terms of coaching staff in that initial meeting, and then the first team will go off and decide what they're going to do for the day. I'll then go to Colliers Park, which is an amazing facility that the FA of Wales training facility, it's in Wrexham, so that's where we'll train. So I'll then go down to Colliers Park. Academy staff will have a meeting. I'll outline what the day looks like, who's training where, who's doing the individual work, who needs a little bit of position-specific work, how long are we training for. We'll meet the S&C staff, all that, outline the day, and then I'll lead that session. Majority of the time I'll lead that session. Then they might be doing the afternoon session, whether it be gym work or whether it be doing some individual work again, or like I say, position specific work. We'll do that in the afternoon. Might be some video analysis stuff, and then I'll then either go back up to the first team staff and just sort of report in on how the day's gone. We'll have a chat about what the rest of the week looks like, for example, and then we'll be on to the next day. So it's nice for me because I still get to see that top end. But I'm really focused on developing them, the younger talented kids, and like I say, we've got 1 or 2 that even in the 2 years I've been there, we've managed to when I first went in, they had not much, wasn't very professional, didn't have much in terms of a coaching programme, in terms of an individual coaching programme, in terms of the multi-disc staff, so all the fitness coaches and the S&C guys didn't have much of that. So to bring all that together, and we've had Harry Ashfield's gone on and gone from the youth team into the first team. Now he's in the first team squad regular, and he's played in the league and scored his first goal for Wrexham. So it's great that, because you asked me before, how did I feel when I scored my first goal? But to see the kids you've worked with at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 to go and emulate that and then do it and know how that feels and how it is for them and them families, I get a real kick out of that. I really enjoy that. So we've managed to do that with Harry, and hopefully again now it's just being responsible for building that and hoping that there's a few more. Obviously the better the first team do, it makes it more difficult to get kids sort of bridging that gap and making the jumps, but it's growing all the time and it's really progressive, and the owners are right behind that, which we're all really grateful for, and to be part of that and to be at the front of that, and along with the academy manager and 1 or 2 other key staff to be really driving that. That's just a real privilege, and I'm really grateful for Phil Parkinson for giving me this opportunity, and to be able to work with him and help drive the club forward. And if we can, as I say, get into the Championship this season, we're well on the way to the plan of hopefully one day getting to the Premier League.
It's such an interesting story, and obviously the owners, you're absolutely right. Phil Parkinson's done a brilliant job seeing him. He's had his challenges, and I love the sweary box thing that they have on. This is Wrexham, how many times he dropped F-bombs in his half-time team talk, always amusing. But I think you made a really good point before about the catchment area, because I think now, if you're a young player, of course, listen, you know, you're made up of Everton, Liverpool, Man City, United, want you? But Wrexham are getting quite a reputation, and if you're looking there now, you're there, Wrexham are interested, and you're from the Northwest area, why wouldn't you consider it? Actually, I might go there.
It's weird because, like, when a couple of people spoke to me, and they were probably less blinkered than even I was when I first got this a couple of years ago, when they first spoke to me about it. And then when I first went there, you start talking to like agents or lads about possibility of coming to Wrexham if they get released from like Everton or Liverpool or whatever. And then all of a sudden now it's starting to flip. You're getting calls from parents or agents saying, "My lad's at a big club, but he can't quite see where he's going to make progress. He'd love to be at Wrexham." And all of a sudden now we're already trying to manage who are going to be good enough and who are going to be the right types for us to take, as opposed to beg, stealing and borrowing whatever you can get. It's flipped already within 2 years. And you'd like to think, because you've got a reputation at that level of having previous success, and because people know that the programme's going to be hopefully the right programme and it's going to be run professionally, and because we're doing things the right way, I think you earn that, as well as the TV show, as well as the fanfare. But it's got to be, people have got to know that when they come, it's going to be done right. And I'd like to think we've done that over the last couple of years. But of course, when they know they're going to be on the telly, and then when they're going to be part of a show and rub shoulders with God knows whoever it is from Hollywood and LA, that's an appeal as well to some of them.
I think with football as well, that'll shine a light on it. But within the game, you know.
Yeah.
If your programme is nuts of it, it gets around the people.
Found out.
Exactly, and therefore you're obviously doing you're doing a lot well. Of course, that's just like to shine the spotlight on it. All the Hollywood, Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, all of however well they're doing.
Yeah.
But
and you've got to manage that as well.
You've got to manage
it, because I think some lads and families and clubs think I'll go to Wrexham because I've got the wash bag and I'll have the car and I'll have the TV crew. And the manager's done that amazing with the first team. Like we know it's not about that. To get promoted, it's about the other bits when the cameras have gone. It's about what it's really about. And we've had to do that with the young lads as well, and make sure that when they come into the building, they're coming in the building for football reasons and to get better and to develop. And all that glitz and glamour might come their way, but it's the hard yards that count, you know what I mean? And there's the benefits. We go to Canada pre-season next year. The first team goes to Australia. There is the benefits that may come from being at a sort of special place, but actually it's the hard yards and the work and the development and the day-to-day, the bits that no one sees. They're the bits where I would like to think my experience or the experience of some of the staff are going to help it be the right place to be.
Big target on the back then as well for those when you're playing against other academies and other things.
And the first team.
And they've got to. That's why they have got to, I guess, cope with all of that. And that's where your Les Helm, your Colin Harvey, your Andy Holden, what they said to you, is that what you do now? Are you still trying to instill that into the young players that are coming through? This is how we behave. This is respect. We do this. We pick stuff up. We don't. That kind of thing.
I think that stuff's, like I say, I'm grateful for that, for them coaches at the time, because all that stuff's just naturally ingrained into me now. So I've got my own beliefs have been moulded through them, and I think my job really now is just to instill that into the environment where I'm working, and people can't drop below what I know are the right standards. So that's part of it, 100%. Making sure that we drive it, and the intensity the lads need to play at, and the tempo that because the game's getting faster all the time, and the higher level they go, the quicker the game is. So making sure that we get to the right tempo and the right intensity in terms of the training sessions and how we work has been part of it. And then honing in on the individuals. Where can we make each individual better as well? I think that's becoming more and more. I think I look back to when we were coming through, it was all like, you'd probably all let's do the same thing. It'd be possessions and games, and there would be technical work. Colin was brilliant in terms of the technical work of the afternoons. But I don't think there was a lot of that going on at that time. And I think now there's a lot of that individual focus is expected by the lads, that you'll give them certain parts of their game where they've got to improve and get better, and we do all that. And I'd like to think there's a good programme in place. So just bringing all that together is something I enjoy. And like I say, my past experiences, even when they get left out or they get a long-term injury or they're moping around because they're injured, I've been there and done that. I don't get anywhere. You know what I mean? So I'd like to think them experiences help shape what we're doing, and the manager seems to be happy, which is the main thing. If he thinks we're doing a good job, that's good enough for me.
That's key, isn't it? What's sort of like your long-term goal and Nick Chadwick's long-term goal? Or are you just planning?
No, I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying the journey. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I get a real buzz out of it. I love looking back at the environment and the players we brought through at Wigan. Yeah. I'm loving trying to sort of emulate and replicate that now at a different club. I think if I can do that, or if I can be part of that at 2 different clubs, then that tells me I'm doing something right. I'm loving the interaction with the first team stuff at Wrexham, loving being part of the club, and that really is my focus at the minute. It's a great place to be. The opportunities are massive. I mean, if you could pick a football club to be part of at the minute in the country, with the ambition that we've got behind us and where we're going, I think I'm in the right place. But obviously, you've probably got that scratch that'll need itching at some point in terms of going and establishing yourself at first team level. But I'm not in any rush. I think I've done that. I've been there, done that, and I see these coaches now who jump into something at first team level. 6 months later, they're out the game. Yeah. So as long as I feel I've got something to offer, and as long as I feel like I'm being valued and I'm pushing something forward, I'm really ambitious, really driven. There's loads more yet to come, I think. So where and when that'll be, there's everyone always says to me, when you're back at Everton, and I'm like, well, one day if that happens, then absolutely amazing. But if it doesn't, then that won't be the right thing. So I'm loving the journey. I'm loving getting better myself, and loving picking up loads of different experiences. I've loved the last couple of years at Wrexham, and my focus is there definitely.
Fantastic. Just a couple more. Yeah, because I know I've had you for a long time now. So, first of all, pick your best 5-a-side. You have to play in it. So, that wouldn't be that wouldn't be it just for the start. Well, you've got to play in it. So, put yourself in a 5-a-side team. 4 of your best. It's got to be Wayne, hasn't it? So Wayne's got to be there. You, Wayne Rooney. It's not a bad start. It's got to be Ozzy, because otherwise he'll be non-stop giving me a load of stick. So I've played with him nearly all my life. So I'll go Ozzy. Who else would be in it? Who I've played with some good players. Got to be Gazza, hasn't it? I mean, Gazza's one of my absolute heroes, and to be part of playing with him, I know he was towards the end, but what a footballer. How many's that? 4. All attackers at the minute. I need a defender in there. Need a defender or a goalie. Yeah. Your call. Yeah. I'll have to go with we'll go fly goalie. I'll go fly goalie, and we'll have a defender in there. I'll go Davy Weir. Yeah, he's been a good player. And he also had an influence on me in terms of how he went about it. His professionalism and him as a character. And I coached his lad at Wigan, Jensen, as well. So still managed to speak to him fairly regular. So he's doing well at Brighton, of course. Yeah, he's a great fella as well. And so I'll go David Weir. He was I always looked up to him when I was at Everton, so we'll stick him in. Good lad. And finally, this is an Everton-focused thing, but obviously the club are leaving Goodison Park in a few months. Yeah. So what sort of, how much will you miss Goodison Park as a venue? Yeah. And B, what's your best memory of Goodison Park for you? Yeah. In terms of missing it, I think I've looked back now and thought I haven't been back enough, because I've been trying to, you're working and you're trying to push your own career forward, you're working hard, and it's footy, and you haven't got time. When you're playing, there's a game going on at Goodison. But I probably haven't enough, looking back now, gone, there's a Sunday game I can get to Goodison, or a night game, and I've probably gone back 3-4 times a season, but nowhere near what I should have done now, because you're starting to lose that opportunity, aren't you? That's it, So I'll definitely miss Goodison. I mean, my best memory will obviously be my first goal. To be able to score at the Gladys Street is something that from 12 years of age you're dreaming of, and to be able to live that dream was an amazing feeling. So that would be my best memory without a shadow of a doubt. And then obviously I'll miss it. Like, say, this last few months, all of a sudden I'm thinking, I've not took both my girls to Goodison, and I've not done this, and I've not done that. And I said to Ozzy the other day, I said we're gonna have to go. The last couple of games, we've got to go back just to get that last match day experience.
So hopefully I get back before we move on. But also it's so exciting, isn't it? It's so exciting to be an Evertonian now, and to be part of Bramley Moor Dock and moving into. I went to the under-21s test event, and just to imagine that full on that first.
What was it like? What was your experience of it like?
It was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. I took the family, and the walk up to the ground, and I know it's got his issues over the station and all that, but to walk up to the ground and to be in and around and just to see it and how big it is and how just that nostalgia, you can see the nostalgia of Goodison is going to go to the new stadium. It's just still got that special feeling to it. So I think it's going to be an amazing place for Everton to play, and hopefully we'll get to there a bit more often than what I've got to Goodison.
Could be Everton and Wrexham in a cup game at Bramley, at the new stadium.
They played Bolton and they played Wigan, and then they played Bolton in the test events, and I was thinking, Tatey should have given me a call, or Keith or whoever it was who made that decision. We were there waiting. That'd have been great. But Shuey jumped in at Bolton, didn't he? He's a big Bolton fan, isn't he? Everton fan, big Everton fan. So he jumped in.
Look for one of them opportunities then, and then coach on the side.
Yeah. If you draw Wrexham in the FA Cup, I'll be travelling. No doubt about it.
Nick, thank you very much. I wish you all the best in your career. Obviously, continuing to do well, and Wrexham is a hugely exciting thing to be part of, and to have lads coming through that you're coaching and get them into that first team, and that's got to be, fantastic achievement for yourself and for those families. So all the best.
No, thanks,
I hope you do everything you want to do in the game.
Cheers, mate. Cheers
for coming on.